Imagine a world where you are part of a community that sees you for all that you bring and propels you to become your very best self. A world where everyone is valued for what they bring and everyone gets the support they need. Savor Exchange brings this dream to reality by empowering individuals, communities, and organizations with the right tools and resources to change the world. We do this by organizing people near and far around a goal or project and bringing them together and measuring their success. Our data analytical reports will provide information to support transparency and critical needs in today's world. The SaverX app acts as a secure bridge to multiple communities, including those defined by you, and allows everyone within their community to contribute time through service and request help for themselves. Members can also donate service credits, money, or goods back to their community. Go to www.saverxapp.com to learn more and start your Saver community today.
Okay. All right, folks, this is very exciting. First of all, Anita, I want to say congratulations for the job that you're doing. And every time any opportunity to spread happiness is always an exciting opportunity. So for all of you that are following this whole process, I hope that you help to continue to spread happiness, because the best way really, to spread happiness is for you to be happy. And when you are happy, then naturally you spread happiness. Word of Emerson said that happiness is like a perfume. You can't spray it on others without a few drops coming back at you. So you can never overdo it. So that's why I'm very excited to be participating in this. I'm just going to give a little background. Back in 2009, at the height of the recession, I just went out on the street and I started to talk to people about happiness. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal, but it was to shift people's mind from all the negativity into something positive. And our local television affiliate heard about my work, and they decided to follow me onto the street. And in the process, they were so impressed about the response of people, they decided to do a small documentary on it. And then the documentary took off, and I started the I Am Happy project, which is now in 64 cities in 19 countries. And then my work was recognized at the United Nations in 2014 for what we do for global happiness. And so that was a very humbling experience, but it started a whole movement that now, let's fast forward to 2020 when the pandemic started, and we realized, wait a second, we've been here before. So back it was the recession, now it's pandemic. So how can we help small businesses to be able to continue in spite of all that is going on? And so we started to host the International Day of Happiness, and 100 people show up. They had so much fun. They wanted us to do it again, and we did, and then again, and then again. And now we host about 64 different events every week with almost 20,000 registration every month. Now, I'm saying this to say, guys, that whatever you focus on is going to grow. And so if you focus on your own happiness, happiness is going to grow in your life. And unfortunately, sometimes people focus on the things that are not working. They focus on their bills, they focus on their challenges, they focus on hate, and those things tend to grow in your life. The universe just unleash, it just enhances what you focus on. So my hope and my goal for you is to focus on happiness. According to Dalai Lama, he said that the purpose of life is to be happy. And so if you focus on happiness, you're going to be happy. Don't let anybody trick you, and say, oh, why you always focus on happiness? Well, what else do you want to focus on? Because if we focus on happiness, happiness as a foundation to anything that we do, it makes those things better. It's just that simple. And so that's one of the things that I want to kind of focus on. And then I want to share my 10 ways to be happy. When I went out in 2009, I ended up interviewing over 1,000 individuals on the subject of happiness. So I can say I have a really good grasp about why are some people happy, why are others not happy, but more than that is what can be done about it. And that's where I really want to shine. I want to start to pioneer the concept where we are moving from happiness as an emotion, because that's what everybody tells us, whether it's psychologists or psychiatrists or counselor, for 100 years or more, they've told us happiness is an emotion, which is true. Okay, I am not doubting that. Okay, but what I'm saying is we cannot end up as happiness as an emotion. We have to move from there, because when we just stop as happiness as an emotion, we go through emotional roller coaster. In other words, when things are good, we are happy. When things are not good, we are in the toilet. We are unhappy. And I feel like that's too much wear and tear on our body. Just picture, for example, you are driving a car. Okay, the car is doing 100 miles an hour, and you can go from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 10 seconds. And then you come to a squeaky halt. And now you go again, another 10 seconds to 100 miles an hour, back to squeaky halt. After some time, that car is going to wear and tear on you. It doesn't matter how the engine is, it's going to start to feel wear and tear because you are not using it the way it's supposed to be used. You're just abusing it. Well, that's the same situation when we just leave our happiness to emotion. We go through that emotional roller coaster and it's hard on us. And so I feel like if we can send a man or a woman to the moon and bring them back safely, we should be able to figure out this happiness. We should be able to move from happiness as an emotion to happiness as a skill. Now, when we move to happiness as a skill, something happens. We become empowered. Okay. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden everything is going well in your life. Far from it. You're still gonna get life curveballs. Life is still gonna happen. The very nature of life is that it's gonna happen. And so when life happens, because you are not approaching it from a skill, you are not powerless. In the back of your mind, okay, I can do this or practice that, become good at this. I can improve my own happiness. And so that's what it is. It's not different than when we were little kids. By the time you sign up for kindergarten and you're so excited, you're day one, and then you get to the class and the teacher sit down and start cutting papers and say, hey, this is A is for what? A is for apple. And then B is this, B is for what? B is for boy. And C is for what? C is for Charlie. All of those are new to you, but guess what? Through practice, you become good at it. And all of a sudden, you can take A and B and C and string it together and form a word. All of a sudden, you can take a few words together and you can make a sentence. And before you know it, you can put a few sentences together and make a paragraph. And now all of a sudden, you are writing a book about life. That's what practice does. And I hear people sometimes, they say practice make perfect. That's not true at all. There are no perfect being. Practice makes improvement. So once you identify a certain skills, and I'm going to share some of those skills with you this evening, then all you got to do is start to practice it. And so when life happens to you, you have some idea what to do. You are not paralyzed. And that's what happiness as a skill is really
That's
all
kind of
about.
my problem, though. The perfectionism, what you said, what do you call it?
Practice make
Practice makes
perfect.
perfect. And for
Yeah.
me, like everything ends up like if it's not perfect, that's the frustration. And I need to get over it, but I don't know how.
Yes.
Like for this
And,
event.
yeah, and I think the very first way to get over it is just to recognize it. You have to understand that it doesn't matter what part of the world that you grow in, our parents or our community has kind of conditioned us that, oh, if you are not perfect, then something is wrong with you. And so we start to chase this imaginary goal, which is a moving target, because we never reach it. I'll give you a good example. I went to school in Boston and I was taking computer science programming. And I remember when the first time, and this is so many years ago, so I might be dating myself now, but you go into the computer lab and there's this huge mainframe computer. I think for us then it was IBM 1170. And I remember it because it gave me a lot of tough time, you know. And the teacher will tell you that they give you the assignment early on in the beginning of the semester. So you have the whole semester to do it. And the instructor will say, most of you are going to wait till the end of the semester to try to do your assignment. And if you do, and the computer breaks down, that's not an excuse for you not completing your assignment, because it takes about a week to get the IBM guy to come to the campus to fix the computer. Okay. And guess what? A lot of people wait till 2 weeks to the time, the computer breaks down and it never gets fixed. But the point that I'm trying to explain here is that same computer that fills a whole room and that we have to use fan to keep on so that it doesn't overheat, the whole of that memory is less than what each and every one of us carry in our hand today, you know, called Android phone or called iPhone, you know, and yet the manufacturer of Android phone or iPhone, they are not stopping. They are still not perfect yet. They are still improving on it. So why would we say we are perfect? Now, IBM 1170, if they said they were perfect back then, can you imagine what kind of trouble we will be? And they decide, okay, let's not improve anymore because we are now perfect. No, practice, make improvement. So Anita, what I would suggest is don't be so hard on yourself. You know, just understand that, okay, once I set out to do something, I am going to give it my very best. Or maybe you want to go even a step more than your very best. Maybe you're going to give it whatever it takes that you have. But once you have done that, you pat yourself on the back and you are done. You know, and the outcome, that you don't have control over that. But human nature, we want to control all outcomes. And that's when we start to create stress upon ourselves and we start to rob ourselves of all the genuine happiness that come in life. So that's why I always tell people, don't worry about it. Don't try to, pursue perfection, because it doesn't exist. Because once you get to perfection, then what? Do you stop? No, you got to get better, because it can get better. So
is it the outcome, not to focus on the outcome, but on the effort that we put in? Is that
absolutely? Yes. And, because you cannot control the outcome, but you can control the effort. And once you start to learn, I have a saying that if you control the things you can very well, then you can influence the things you cannot control. And so while you may not be able to control the outcome, if you control your effort and you really do well, guess what? You can control the outcome some of the time. Or actually, let me take it back. You cannot control the outcome, but you can influence the outcome. And so that's why you see most time people reach the goal and say, oh, I reached the goal. No, it's just that your effort was so good that you accomplished that. If the goal become bigger and your effort even is good, it might not still accomplish it. But it's not that. Your thing is reach your effort. And if you reach your effort, then you should give yourself a pat on the back. And most time when we reach our effort, we usually surprise ourselves anyway. And we usually accomplish way more, than we are thinking about. So when you look at happiness, look at it as, okay, the goal is not to try to avoid sadness. The goal is not to try to avoid life curveballs. The goal is not to say, oh, I don't want anything bad happening to me. That's not the goal. The goal should be, I want to be so good that I can handle what happens to me. I want to be so good that I can seek help when I'm not able to handle what happens to me. So when you are in that frame of mind, then whatever happened to you doesn't paralyze you, because hey, if I'm not able to handle it, golly, I can go out to seek help, and somebody might be able to help, some organization might be able to help, and that's usually, it releases you and the stress that comes with being paralyzed, with a goal. And so that's really the beginning of happiness as a skill. Now let's touch on some skills, while we are here. When I finished interviewing the In 2009, I went ahead and I interviewed over 1,000 individuals on the subject of happiness. And by the time you talk to that many people on one particular subject, you start to know a thing or two about the subject, okay? You start to get a whole different perspective of that particular subject. So in that time, I came up with the 10 ways to be happy. And I'm going to go through them very, very quickly. And this card I've developed, distributed for free since 2009 to thousands and thousands upon people. And sometimes I come across some people, and they say, "Hey, you're the guy. I saw the 10 ways." And they'll bring it out of their wallet or somewhere. I'm like pleasantly surprised. So the first thing is you got to decide to be happy. Okay, that's the first thing. You got to decide to be happy. Now, here is one of the things that I know. Even after we make a decision, sometimes we don't take that decision very seriously. You take people, for example, they say, "Oh, December 31, I'm going to read a book every day for 1 year." Or, "Oh, I'm going to learn how to ride bicycle." Or, "I'm going to this." They make that decision in the spur of the moment and it sounds good, but they don't really follow through. Now, the reason they don't follow through is that decision is not a priority to them. So when other things come, they kick that aside and they go about that. So I say rule number one is if you decide to be happy, make it a priority. And the reason you want to make it a priority is that happiness should be a foundation of everything you do. And so if it is the foundation, then that's what you want to guide, so that you are building on a very serious and successful foundation. Now, here is one caution that I share with people every time I speak. Because once people hear I'm the chief happiness officer, they are quick to say, "Oh, happiness is a choice." And I understand where people are coming from. I get it, because yes, it is a choice. I just finished telling you need to decide and make it a priority. But what I also know is when you are talking to somebody that's not in a mental capacity to really appreciate that, you are not doing that person a favor. If you go to someone that's struggling, maybe they are going through depression, and you tell them, "Hey, happiness is a choice, get off of it," you might as well take a knife and shook it into their heart and see if they would die. That's what you're doing. So I say, don't do that. Get a feel for who you are talking to before you jump into the happiness is a choice stuff, because it's kind of like telling the person that they have chosen to be unhappy. And I don't think there'll be so many people that will be happy about that. You're going to leave them worse than when they came, when you came across them. So let's be sensitive about how we use that. So the second thing is, and this one is really cool. It's one of my favorite, and that is you got to learn to smile more and learn to laugh at yourself. People say, "Wait a second, that's crazy. Why you want to laugh at yourself?" Well, guess what? Nobody else really care about you taking yourself too seriously, Now, don't get me wrong. If you have an assignment to do that assignment with all seriousness, because people are counting on you. But in the process, you shouldn't take yourself too seriously, because it doesn't make any sense. So learn to smile more, learn to laugh at yourself, and that in turn help you to really experience happiness. The third thing, and I call volunteering, is be of service to others, because our potential is way too much than just to serve us. If all your brain cells, that 2 billion cells in your head, is just to serve you or just to make your own personal goal, then that's a waste. It's your ability to be of service to others that magnify your ability, that magnify your passion, that magnify your purpose. Now, some people will tell me, they say, "Edwin, wait a second. I just don't have the time. You don't understand me, man. My schedule, I'm working myself to the bone." I'm like, stop. What you are telling me indirectly is you are too busy to be happy. And after all, why then? I mean, I just said it earlier on. The Lama said the purpose of life is to be happy. So why would you be so busy that you don't have time to be happy? It doesn't make any sense. So slow down a little bit, clear your plate a little bit and find some time to be of service to other people. And it
If anyone
doesn't,
says that to you, please send them to me, because we want people to spend time giving their passions to what they love and helping someone, and then
yeah,
getting their time back for things that they need help with or don't want to do.
absolutely.
Somebody
And I
else
think
will do it for them.
it's a beautiful thing,
Yeah.
with the exchange system, because the bottom line is that when we are blessed with certain talents and certain ability, those talents and ability gets to be magnified in our ability to use it to be of service to other people. And so if you can exchange it for what you need, I think that would be fabulous. Okay, so then number 4 is we talk about donate your money according to your pocket. Now, when I say this, people right away like, oh, I don't have any money, just like they will say, I don't have any time. And we have to get out of that what I call a scarcity mentality. We have all the money we need to do whatever we want. We do. We have all the time we need to do whatever we want. I know sometimes when I say that, I get in trouble. People's like, oh no. Yes, we do. And here is another thing that I believe. We have everything we need to be happy. We don't need a single thing more, none. Now, remember now, I'm not saying we have everything we want. I'm saying we have everything we need to be happy, because happiness is not outside of us. Happiness is inside of us to activate, and we have everything we need. If we just stop looking at the outside and we stop pursuing happiness and we start activating happiness, we find out we already got everything that we need to be happy. So if you got a dime, contribute it, donate it. If you have $1, donate it. It's not the amount that matters. It is the whole process, because what you're actually doing is you are rewiring your brain, and you are saying to your brain, hey, you know what? I only got $1 and I was able to give away 5 cents. Guess what? If I have $10, man, I can give away 50 cents. And maybe if I have $100, man, I'm giving away $5. So the way the universe works is it start to expand your reach so that you can have more. Not because you need to keep it or you need to hoard it or you need to take care of yourself, but because you can now give more to really help. So that's the donation. That's the number 4. Number 5, and when I go to elementary school and I talk about this, I say make time for the 3 F's. And they say, hey, he's gonna use the F word. He's gonna use the F word. They are so cute. Sometimes I have some fun with them. And I said, no, there are some good F word too, okay? There are really some good F word. They said, no, the F word is bad word. I said, well, whoever taught you that, I hope it's not your teacher, because the teacher might be there. And I said, there are some good F word. For example, how many of you have family? Everybody raise up their hand. I say, is that F word? They say, yeah. Is that a good F word? They say, yeah. I say, okay, what about your faith? Is that the F word? Yeah. Is that a good F word? Yeah. What about your friends? How many of you have friends in the class? Everybody raise up their hand. I say, you see, there are some good F words, right? And they say, oh, that's different. I say, okay, not all F words are bad. So make time for your friends, your faith, and your family.
You
Number,
missed one.
yes.
Fun.
Eh?
He always says that.
Exactly, fun. That is the ultimate of all. Because guess what? When you are making time for your family, your faith, and your friend, it's so you can have some fun. I mean, that's just the bottom line of it. Yeah. Okay, so then we look at an item number 6, and this is where you create the list of all the things that you are thankful for, and that makes you happy. Now, I remember a study that was done on gratitude. And they said that if you take the time and you write down just one thing a day that you are thankful for, and you do that consistently for like 6 months, you would have raised your level of happiness by 10%. Now, what is 10%? Most people didn't know that, but the researchers, they were able to compare it to if you were to go to your work on a Monday and your boss pull you to the side, and in the back of your head, you're thinking, oh, what have I done? And instead of what have you done, they give you an envelope that's 2 times your annual pay. That will be equivalent to 10% increase in happiness. Now, here is the difference though. When you get that pay, it goes away very quickly. Your happiness goes away very quickly because it's really, really temporarily. And it's not only that, is if you're unhappy and you get that pay, it just magnify your unhappiness. And if you're happy, you get it, it also magnify your happiness. So it wear away and you go back to your default position. Whereas if you increase your happiness by 10% just by keeping track of your gratitude, it tends to stay for about a year or more. So it gives you plenty of time to do it again and then make it into a habit. So gratitude is unquestionably, one of the easiest way to increase your level of happiness. Okay, so we look at number 7. And this is where sometimes people say, wait a second, I thought you're supposed to be the chief happiness officer. Why are you talking about bad stuff? Why are you talking about sadness? Why are you talking about, I say, hey, they are part of the package. Life without sadness, how do you even know what happiness is? If you don't even have no frame of reference like that, So what I encourage people is make a list of the things that makes you unhappy. Okay, make a list of it. Now, here is one of the biological reason even for that. If you take something from your head and you put it on the paper or even put it on your iPad or your computer, it doesn't matter, all of a sudden it's not as big as it was in your head. Your head has a tendency to exaggerate things. When you start writing it down, you start to put it in proper perspective, and all of a sudden it's smaller than it really is. But more than that, it's easier for you to start to deal with it. So for example, when you shared with me earlier on that, you want everything to be perfect, one of the things that I would encourage you is write that down. I want everything to be perfect. And then you start to look at it and say, okay, why do I want everything to be perfect? Is that even possible? Is that realistic?
I just want everyone to be happy. And that's why I try to do that for my kids, like a vacation. We want to plan the perfect vacation so they're happy. And then when they're sad, then I feel like I failed.
Now, I'm glad that you brought that up. And that's one of the things, back in the days when my kids were young, and we never planned the vacation. We never planned it because the moment you start to plan it, it becomes work. And it's supposed to be a vacation. Vacation is where you do you just do things on plan. You have, like I remember one time we decided, okay, we'll throw a coin, and where the coin line, that's where we go. And that's where we go. And then sometimes we just drive and drive and drive and drive and drive. And then we are tired. We say, okay, we're going to stop. Let's see if we can find a hotel. And so it's not planned. It creates that much excitement. And I know that would be kind of hard for you because it
would stress me out. Like, what if we don't find a hotel? Oh my God, what are we going to do? No, that wouldn't work.
And so that's why I said you got to be able to laugh at yourself, because I think one of those nights we actually ended up staying inside the car because we couldn't find a hotel. And it was one of the best nights that we had, So sometimes you just gotta go with the flow. I think in happiness, there is spontaneity. A lot of time people don't like spontaneity, but I think it's really crucial. If you truly want to be happy, there gotta be some spontaneity. You gotta be able to do some stuff. And I'm not talking about carelessness. I'm not talking about taking risk. I'm talking about just doing stuff without planning it. And then you're not worrying about whether it's perfect or it's not perfect, because if it doesn't work out, you can say, hey, I didn't plan it anyway, so it's not a big deal, and stuff like that. Okay, so make the list, and then you start to cross the lead. You start to cross it one by one. Now let's say you list something that makes you unhappy, and eventually you find a solution to it. If you cannot find a solution to it yourself, seek help from somebody else, because there is somebody out there that have had a situation like you have before, and they've had solution to it. So why do you try to figure it out yourself? Find somebody, especially in these days where you can just Google it, and then in the process of Googling, you have your result come to you. Okay, number 8. is you need to learn to manage your time and your money, because that could actually create a level of stress that most people cannot really handle. It's just too much stress. And then number 9 is be active and make healthy choices. Now, I am not asking you to become a gym freak. I'm asking you, if you've been sitting down for an hour or 2 or 3 hours, get up and stretch yourself. Take a walk around the block. Jump on the spot. I remember as a little kid, growing up in Nigeria, and of course we didn't have no treadmills or any of those things. Sometimes we didn't even have a field, to play around. But we line up in front of a classroom, and then they tell us to run on the spot. And then we'll be running, running, running. There's fire on the mountain. Run, run, run. Fire on the mountain. Run, run, run. And we'll be running on that spot, and we start breaking a sweat. And we haven't even left the front of the office. And then the teacher come around. Once you break a sweat, then they allow you to go inside. And not only it help us to stay fit as a young one, but it also reduced our energy. So we didn't have too much energy when we get into class. So they were very strategic, but it kept us healthy. So eat good stuff. I think they said, you eat, if you eat really good stuff, it helps your brain to stay happy, and not all the sugar stuff and all of those kind of stuff. And then finally, number 10 is create your goals. Okay. And it's good to have goals. It's good to have dreams. Okay. If you don't have dreams, then you are hopeless. If you are hopeless, you can't be happy. I've never seen any human being that say, you know what, I'm hopeless, but I'm happy. No, it doesn't work. It's mutually exclusive. Okay. So if you have now, I know that this might sound like contradictory to what I said earlier on, where I said you already have everything you need to be happy. And now at the end of number 10, I'm telling you to have dream and have goal. I want to clarify that. When you have goals or you have dreams from a position where happiness is your foundation, that goal or that dream is not a contingency on your happiness. Okay. Now, let me make that really clear. A lot of people that are not happy today, they put contingency on their happiness. They said, if I get that house, I will be happy. If I buy that car, I will be happy. If I get that significant other person, I will really be happy. Folks, all of those are just contingency on your happiness. When you pose it like that, you put a stop to your happiness until you reach that goal. Now, what if you never reach that goal? Then that means you never be happy. That doesn't even make any sense. So all I'm saying is be happy anyway, whether you reach that goal or not. And then when you set the goal and you walk towards the goal and you reach the goal, now you are still happy because you were happy all along. The reaching of the goal does not determine your level of happiness one way or the other. It just doesn't. You accomplish. That's why it's also nice to be passionate about your goal, because then when you reach it, it allows you to be more to more people, because you are already what you are. You already have all the things that you need. Having more doesn't really make any difference in terms of your happiness, but it could help you to reach more people, to help more people and stuff like that. So that's one of the advantages of having goals. And so those are the 10 ways to be happy. And I hope that's been very, very helpful to you.
Yes,
and thank you so very much.
I feel so.
In the meantime, you stay safe and stay happy. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Mhm.